Welcome to Hope Blooms, a podcast from the Early Pregnancy Loss Association.
At EPLA, we seek to support women and families suffering early pregnancy loss by providing resources, education, and community. It is our vision that no one suffers miscarriage alone. Welcome back to Hope Blooms. I'm Emily Carrington, the EPLA Executive Director.
And I'm Maria Servold, EPLA's President. Today we're going to take a brief sort of walkthrough of what we provide in our early pregnancy loss kits, both our small kit and our larger kit.
I think this is important when we get requests for kits. It's really important to sort of know what kit you or your loved one needs. And our kits were designed very intentionally with the make sure you get what you need when you need it. They were designed based on our own experiences and experiences of friends and experiences of others. We include some things from another nonprofit, Heaven's Gain Ministry. And I just think they're a really good coming together of what we need. And I'm going to say right up front, our care kits are not sort of, we call them care kits and they're comfort items, but these are not candles and socks and cozy kits. These are
things you'll need.
The sanitary items of what you need.
Which is something when we first started, this organization, some of the first questions we asked about how can we help our, people in that first meeting were saying things like, I didn't know what was happening. I needed information. But then I also didn't feel prepared for the physical side of things. So that's sort of where this started
and
from.
We've said over and over again that leaving her alone and isolated does nothing to protect her dignity or her safety. And we think it's important to sort of look at this gruesome moment. The only way to sanitize it is not to ignore it, not to call it a heavy period, but to say what it is and to acknowledge what you might actually need.
Right.
So these are sort of sometimes can be hard to receive or acknowledge or look through. So especially our large kit, I kind of encourage women like receive it, look through it if you need to, put it aside if you need to, open it when you need to. But it's not like I said, it's not full of candles and cozy socks.
Right.
So let's start with our small kit. We have two kits. We just define them as the way they are. Small kit
large.
and the large kit, which may not always be an easy description. We do have, I will say right now, and we will put this link in the description, an explanation on our blog, which is also called Hope Blooms, of what is in each kit in case you want to revisit that or have a clearer idea. There is a list of what is available. So our small kit.
Yeah. So the small kit is designed for situations where maybe a miscarriage has been completed already at home, or perhaps post a D&C, where you're a situation where you're not imminently awaiting a miscarriage to happen. And the first thing that's in there that we include in all of our kits is a set of information, some little bits of information. First, a trifold brochure that describes sort of all the medical terms surrounding miscarriage, things like natural miscarriage, what a D&C is, ways you might feel after you have a loss, sort of all these terms that might get thrown at you in a medical situation, or, if you go to the dreaded Dr. Google, it can help you understand some of that. And then we also have a card that lists facts and myths about early pregnancy loss, because we found in those early discussions that there were a lot of myths out there about, what that women believed about why this happened and that kind of thing. So we think those are very important to include.
Yeah, and these grew out of, this was really our initial service, right? Like getting information to women. So many people, ourselves included, felt like we walked away just overwhelmed. And then you start Googling and then things get scary or confusing or not applicable to you. So we really do think that empowering women starts with informing.
With information, yeah. Right. And then we, with the other paperwork, we have a small bookmark. We have one of our lovely note cards, a blank note card. There's also a little card expressing our condolences, and between the small kit and the large kit, that changes a little bit. It describes what's in the kit on the back of the card, and again, that's different for each sized kit. And then we have what we call our comfort items, and I'll let you describe what those are.
So we do, I said we don't have socks and candles, but we do know that tending to your emotional and spiritual needs is a very important process and part of the healing process. So we include a small comfort item pack that was sort of chosen intentionally to help you work through the loss of the baby and to give you some things to hold on to as well. So the first thing is the knitted blanket or handmade blanket. They're not all knitted, but they are all handmade. We've included tiny blankets, and these have been made by women of all ages, like 16 to 96.
And in all different places.
In all different places, all over. These have been made by women who want you to know you are not alone. And these are intended to help you to have something to hold on to remember. And we just think it's such an important, they're tiny, a lot of, your baby was tiny. So these are something you can either hold on to, keep with you during the day, or tuck away into a memory box. Or some people have buried the remains with the blanket as a way to just sort of give the baby some comfort. Other items we have in there are we do include a seed packet. Our tulip is our logo, and we're in hope blooms. So obviously this idea of spring, life, and death is something, and we encourage you and hope these are planted as gentle reminders and ongoing life. There's also a small notebook and pen. This can either be used for journaling or taking medical notes, as well as some tea, which I think is very comforting or could even be saved for later, Kleenex, and some lip balm. So these are all just ways we want to say, we're
thinking of you.
We're thinking of you. We care, and we know this is a process.
And that all comes, I should say, the small kit is a small canvas bag with a zipper, and it just has our tulip logo on the front. So we specifically designed this that it's easy to get it to who you need it to have it, and it also is reusable. And the final thing that's in those small kits are we always include some sanitary pads just to sort of tide you over until you can get more, or if you're later along and don't need that many, but we always include those.
Yeah, these are often distributed, a large majority. So we distributed 1,072 of these small kits last year. And 1,000 of those were largely distributed through hospitals, ERs, OBs. So these are often the miscarriage has begun or is ending. So you might still need a week of pads. We provide a few. I think we provide nine large pads. Last year, that means we distributed 9,000 to 10,000 pads, which we think is very important. So we do include those in the small kit.
Yeah. So the large kit has all the same things we listed already, the information and the comfort items. The only difference with the information is that the card that you first see describes what else is in there. And the large kit, like we said before, is designed for women who perhaps have had a ultrasound and been told that there's no heartbeat and to expect a miscarriage to begin. And so this kit, we try to get it into the hands of women who need it very quickly. We will overnight them around the United States so that when you then begin bleeding, you're ready.
Right. So the biggest challenge with this kit is getting it to the right people at the right time. And this is something we have continued to improve upon. And I think doing this podcast and this discussion right now is a continued effort that people, one, know that they exist, two, know that women need them, and three, know that they can get them to them fast. So we do try to respond as quickly as possible and have the kit in the mail within a day or so, depending on the time, and then we overnight them immediately. So these can be distributed through doctors' offices and hospitals. If nurses and doctors are listening, we would love every time an ultrasound technician says, "I'm sorry, there is no heartbeat," or the doctor technically says, "I'm sorry, there is no heartbeat," we want this to be the next thing. And then once the doctor and the patient have that discussion of the appropriate management. So some patients are going to decide, or the doctor will have reasons that a DNC is the appropriate way forward. But some patients and doctors do decide that expectant management is the name for it, or a natural home miscarriage is an appropriate way forward. Sometimes too, unfortunately, but we've heard story after story, a doctor and a patient decide that a DNC is the next right thing. It's a Tuesday afternoon. They schedule a DNC for Thursday, and Wednesday she starts bleeding anyway. So we think these are really important, and these were modeled after they're sort of a scaled down home birth kit. I was really shocked. I had a DNC and my first miscarriage. And so I thought I knew what a miscarriage was. I'd lost a baby at 11 weeks. There was, the baby had probably died at 6 or 7 and diagnosed on a Monday, and waited till Friday and had my DNC, and everything went according to plan. The second time I decided to wait, and I was sort of dragging my feet on purpose to decide to wait. Started bleeding, passed around to clots, texted my sister-in-law, "It's over." And oh, how naive. I was. And so these are really born out of all the things I wish I personally had. And then another friend of mine was waiting for a miscarriage, and I thought, she needs more than I had. So a mutual friend of ours got together, and, the two of us sort of put together the first prototype of this kit. That's how these were sort of born. And since we've sort of standardized them, cleaned them up, and I think they are, effective. I think we have a really useful and effective kit. But these are a little hard to digest.
Yeah, and that's, that is the hard part about it. But we didn't want to not include things that you might need simply because it might be scary because, unfortunately it will, you may need these things. So we have hot and cold packs, whichever feels better to you. We have some of the disposable, they call them like Chuck's pads, but that could be put in your bed or on the bathroom floor to help clean things up. We also have, I'm not sure what the proper term is, but it's a thing that goes over the toilet.
The urine hat
to catch things, because many women have, myself included, felt, not known that they could do that and try to collect the baby's body and then be able to bury it. And so we included that so that there was that option.
And this sort of serves a dual purpose. It helps you collect the remains and any tissue for burial and or
genetic testing.
I know something that was really hard for us is like, we're trying to collect remains, and are they going in the toilet? That's messy. Are they not going in the toilet? That's messy. So this helps with that. It also helps you communicate with your doctor about blood loss. Doctors will say, "How much blood have you lost?" I don't know. Yeah. Are you filling a pad an hour? And in my experience was, I would sort of have labor contractions and then expel blood, clots, and tissue, and then it would stop, So it's like, well, I don't know. I just lost a lot of blood really fast, and now I'm sort of slowing down. So this will help you sort of communicate with your doctor, because I find that like whole conversation of how much blood did you lose?
That's not where your brain is at that moment.
Really
but
difficult.
It has measurements on it. So
it does have measurements. Yeah. So it can help with that as well.
And then the final big piece that we have in the large kit, we also send more pads in the large kit, a bigger sort of bag of them. But then the last piece is this separate little miscarriage kit that we get from this company, this nonprofit called Heaven's Gains Ministries. And we met them at a conference we went to some years ago. And what is special about this is that it has things in it for both collecting the baby and preserving the body until you're able to bury it.
Yes, and I think this is some of the hardest to stomach in the kit. It's called a miscarriage kit. We call it a body retrieval kit. We know that this, when we saw it, we had already started sort of prototyping and working on our miscarriage care kits. And providentially, they were right next to us. And at this conference where we were displaying, and I was immediately like, this is it. We need this. We need this. And sort of started talking at first about like, how can we recreate it? What do we need from this? And then it became really clear that partnering with them was the best and most efficient way. So we have loved working with them. They have really refined their process. You can also, a plug for them, because we're just all in this together, you can contact them directly. They are amazing at getting stuff to you
very quickly. They also sell really beautiful, like little urns and containers
and caskets and burial supplies.
Miscarried babies,
And that's one thing we don't have in our kit. So I think that they are just a wonderful organization, but it is hard to stomach. But this was also created sort of with the same spirit in mind. She was really, this just kills me, right? Like, but this is the landscape. She made this so a woman could keep it in her purse while she was at work. You know, she was looking for something, again, back to that, like, nothing about this, everything about it makes your stomach turn. But it's for that taking care of a woman in the place she needs.
Well, and having, having the option to, retrieve and preserve the baby's body until you can do something with it. Whereas the other option is,
right. Well, yeah. I mean, my baby lived in a Tupperware container and then in a lunchbox in the freezer. And then we took it for testing. And I never went and got my lunchbox back. So, these are the things that are hard to look at. Like, okay, you're going to preserve this baby in saline in this jar. That might be bothersome, but I promise you the alternative is more so. So, and you can sort of do with this kit what you want and or what you need.
Right.
So is it for testing? Is it for burial? Is it to have a moment? You may not, I do want to say too, it's kind of surprising how early this kit may or may not be useful. And there's a good guide in there on sort of the developmental process of a baby week by week. But I will say I had a 7-week baby, but I didn't start miscarrying until probably week 13 or so. I did not have an identifiable baby come out of me. So I needed to save the tissue for testing, but there was not going to be any sort of like emotional, there is my baby. There had been enough tissue destruction and breaking down in the month and a half that passed between the death of my baby and the passing of my baby. So these are sort of, we intend this for what you need, but even as early as, I think the big myth, right? Like, it's just a heavy period. It's just so not true. So, even as early as 6 or 7 weeks, like if you're getting that ultrasound, it is likely that this kit could be useful. So we really encourage you to reach out to us. These are also things we encourage you to gather for your friends if you don't know what you need.
Right. We encourage copycats.
Please.
Or if you work in a hospital, you work in the ER, you work at a OBGYN office, feel free to sort of take these ideas and put together your own kit. We'd much rather have women taken care of, by lots of people trying to do the same thing than just by us. What are the best ways that people can reach out to request a kit? How can they best do that?
Yes. So you can find us on Facebook, Early Pregnancy Loss Association. You can send us a private message and with your name and address and which kit is needed, a small or large, and we will get that in the mail. Those are often seen throughout the day and they will get in the mail at the next available office and mailing time. We do overnight through the USPS. So we do have to, there's some restrictions on that.
Can people request through the website too?
People can also request through the website. So miscarriagecare.com and just submit an email or submit a comment in the comment section. We commonly get them and those will go to our email. And then additionally, you can email us directly at miscarriagecare@gmail.com. We'll include all of that in the links. If you're local, you can also just reach us and we are happy to either mail you a kit. So if you're local to Hillsdale County, Michigan, we're happy to mail you a kit or to just
bring it to you.
Bring it to you,
Yeah.
deliver a kit.
Yeah.
If you can reach out, or you can meet us at our office. Our office does not have open hours or kit distribution. So you do have to contact us directly. If you are a nurse or a doctor or another type of nonprofit that serves women,
and you'd like to have some on hand,
yes. If you're a
let us know.
pregnancy center or a counseling association or even a homeless center, please let us know. We would like to keep these. We want these to be everywhere women are who are experiencing miscarriages, and given the statistics. And
before they realize they need them. I mean, that's, we want it to be available when the situation arises.
Exactly. So that's how you get a kit. So I think that's a good rundown of what's in our kits and why. And again, I encourage you to look at our blog or our list, and this is how we reach people and how we
sort of
help
the
care.
Foundation of our ministry, if you will. So.
Well, thank you so much for listening today. If anyone has any questions or needs a kit, please always reach out to us. This is what we are here to do. So this has been an episode of Hope Blooms. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for listening to Hope Blooms, a podcast from the Early Pregnancy Loss Association.
To learn more about how we and you can support women suffering early pregnancy loss, visit our website at miscarriagecare.com or find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you for listening.